It's October! It's the greatest month of the year! Fall begins, the sun goes down sooner, and best of all, Halloween is at the end of the month. So for a brief 31-day period, everyone likes the same kind of entertainment. Scary, spooky, weird, and horrific entertainment. Nowadays, you can watch a horror film or Halloween special all year round. And if you so choose to watch something during this glorious month, all you have to do is pull up a streaming service. You can pull up Netflix, you can pull up Amazon, or you can even pull up YouTube. Wink, wink. But it wasn't always like that. See, when I was a kid growing up, channels had to change their programming to reflect the greatest holiday of them all, Halloween. And they got you pumped up for that day before, Christmas threw up all over the department stores. We know they don't care about Thanksgiving. The idea of a programming block centered exclusively around Halloween and scary stuff seems to have lost its importance today because of the way we digest media. In fact, I haven't had cable in so long, I don't even know if channels dedicate that much time to Halloween anymore. But I think it's important to look back at these TV channels and how they shaped my love of all things scary and weird. So, I'm going to count down my top 5 favorite Halloween programming blocks from my childhood. That's a long title. Anyway, I'm Ryan Reed, and this is Fright Films. Number 5, 13 Nights of Halloween. Coming in at number 5 on my list is Fox Family, later renamed ABC Family's 13 Nights of Halloween. Originally called 13 Days of Halloween, this programming block ran from October 19th to Halloween itself and focused more on family-friendly programs to celebrate the holiday. Admittedly, Fox Family / ABC Family was not a channel that I frequented very often outside of October. A lot of their programming was, awful. But when it came to Halloween, they went all out. They changed their bumpers to really reflect the season. They showed awesome movies like Beetlejuice and actually some really kind of creepy shows like Scariest Places on Earth. They even had some original movies like The Hollow, which was a kind of Dawson's Creek take on Sleepy Hollow, and a movie called When Good Ghouls Go Bad starring Christopher Lloyd. I haven't seen it in years, so I have no idea if it was actually a good movie, but that image of Christopher Lloyd like a sort of zombie is forever stuck in my head. So why is this only number 5? Well, as the years went on, they had a tendency to show less legitimately scary or spooky stuff and replace it with movies that have absolutely nothing to do with horror or Halloween. I mean, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is not a horror movie in the traditional sense. Apparently under the channel's new name, Freeform, they've expanded the programming block to be 31 Days of Halloween, which is awesome. But unfortunately, it's become more of an excuse to kind of just block whatever movies they want together instead of a celebration of the season. So that's a bummer. But those early years, they were actually pretty effective. Number 4, Disney Channel Original Halloween movies. Much like Fox / ABC Family, Disney Channel was more focused on safer Halloween programming, but with significantly better shows. I mean, some of their Halloween specials for shows like Even Stevens or Lizzie McGuire were really, really good. But the reason I tuned into the channel every month was, of course, for the Disney Channel original movies, the spooky ones. In case you didn't know, Disney Channel used to release a made-for-TV movie every single month. And of course, the October ones were always my favorites. You had films like Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, Don't Look Under the Bed, and of course, the Halloween Town franchise. And the best part is they would play them all month long, so you got to see them over and over and over again. Then on top of that, Disney would also show some of their Disney Channel original movies that weren't October-based, but were horror-based. So you got to see movies like Phantom of the Megaplex. Unfortunately, not all the Disney Channel original movies were winners. I personally was never a fan of films like Under Wraps or Can of Worms. I know everybody has their own tastes, but for me it was always a bummer when you tuned in to see what movie was on that night, and it was one of those or another one that I wasn't a big fan of. So then you had to find something else to watch or just deal with the fact that it was a movie you didn't care much for. The other problem was it was like a 50-50 chance whether the new movie of the month was any good. So if it was great, awesome, you got to see it over and over again. If it was bad, great, you got to see it over and over again. But most of the time, for Disney Channel original movies, the good outweighed the bad. Number 3, UPN reruns of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. The Simpsons is one of the greatest shows ever created. Hands down, no questions asked, it is amazing. And regardless of your feelings on the show in its current state, there's no denying that it has cemented itself in television and pop culture history. Years ago, there was also a channel called UPN, and it was a basic cable channel that mostly showed reruns of sitcoms with some original programming. However, for a Simpsons mega fan like myself, the best part was during the evenings, they would replay at least 2 reruns of The Simpsons, Monday through Friday. I would watch it consistently, and back then, for The Simpsons, it was the closest thing you had to, like, a binge watch. Nowadays, the cable channel FXX will regularly show crazy long marathons of The Simpsons, where you can buy the DVDs, or soon it's going to be on Disney+. But back then, your best bet to see The Simpsons regularly was on UPN, before its normal time slot on Sundays on Fox. I explain all of this because my favorite episodes of The Simpsons were always the Treehouse of Horror episodes. A tradition they started way back in season 2. Every year they do a new Halloween episode, which is a 3-part anthology where we put our characters into extraordinary situations they wouldn't normally be in. They are so awesome and they just ooze Halloween. It's the best. Back in the day, October meant that UPN would rerun all of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Sometimes they would have marathons of them, where each episode would be back to back to back to back. And if you know The Simpsons, that means that's a lot of Treehouse of Horror episodes you get to sit there and watch. And it was amazing. They're the perfect blend of horror and humor and craziness and mayhem and violence and everything and all the craziness that The Simpsons can wrap in to celebrate the season of Halloween. They're so good! Unfortunately, this has to be only number 3 on the list because this wasn't a consistent programming block. Yeah, they did it every year, but sometimes they would show Treehouse of Horror episodes not in October. Sometimes during October they would show some regular episodes. So it wasn't as strict as some of the other programming blocks we have coming up, but I would be foolish not to include it because when I think of Halloween, I think of Treehouse of Horror. Number 2. AMC's Monster Fest, and to a lesser extent, Fear Fest. For a while, AMC was the best place to view actual horror movies during October. Once Monster Fest started, you could catch a horror movie at any time during the day. Is it a Sunday morning? Guess what? There's a horror movie on. Is it 3 a.m. on a weekday and you're awake because you couldn't sleep, so you turn on the TV and what's on? Guess what? AMC is going to be playing a black and white creature feature. It was perfect. Monster Fest was a great way for a kid like me to get introduced to slasher villains or horror icons without having to go directly to a video store and then have the person behind the counter give your parents attitude because they're renting a horror movie for you. Like, seriously, that's not cool. Not that it matters now, because video stores don't exist, but jerks. Growing up, Monster Fest was how I got introduced to a lot of my favorite movies for the first time. Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, they were all there. And as much as John Carpenter's original Halloween is a classic and a masterpiece and a film I will watch every single year, Monsterfest is the reason I have just as much love and appreciation for Halloween 3 and Halloween 4 and Halloween 5. I associate these films so much with the holiday of Halloween, possibly even more than the original. My guess is that the rights to show these films were much cheaper, and so AMC would show them on repeat. But to me, that wasn't a bad thing. I would watch them over and over again through the entire run of October, and by the time November 1st rolled around and these movies weren't on, it was a sad day. So why then is this only number 2? Well, it's because of the changes AMC started to make. First, they changed the name from Monsterfest to Fearfest, which is fine. I mean, ultimately, a name change means absolutely nothing as long as the content's the same. Spoiler alert, the content wasn't the same. The programming block started to get shorter and shorter. Gone were the days of a horror movie on at every moment. You were lucky if you got 2, maybe 3 a night. And then The Walking Dead happened. And look, I've got nothing against The Walking Dead, the show itself. I mean, for me, I gave up watching it on season 3, but if you like it, if it's a show you enjoy, keep watching it. Watch what you like. I mean, it's entertainment after all. But the problem is, Fearfest became about promoting The Walking Dead. New episodes of The Walking Dead. We're premiering The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead's on tonight. We've got a show that talks about The Walking Dead. Then we're going to show a rerun of The Walking Dead. And then, hey, maybe, I guess we might show some horror movies or something at some point. I understand that AMC has evolved as a channel. And because of that, we've gotten some amazing original programming. But Monsterfest was an incredibly important part of making every moment feel like Halloween. And now it's just kind of a shambling corpse of itself. Ironically, because of a show about zombies. And now for an honorable mention. I want to award the honorable mention to Cartoon Network. When I was a kid, Cartoon Network had some amazing Halloween episodes and holiday specials, but I could not remember a set programming block that Cartoon Network had that was like a consistent year after year thing. They did have some really cool one-day blocks, like they had the Scooby-Doo project where they had a Scooby-Doo Where Are You marathon with a Scooby-Doo Blair Witch parody cut in between that was pretty awesome. And they also had the Cartoon Halloween party, which was really cool as well. You got to see all the cartoons dressed as different cartoons. It's a lot of times to say cartoon, as they introduce different episodes of the show. But as far as a month-long Halloween celebration, so many episodes a night or something of that nature, I couldn't really think of anything. But if I'm misremembering something, please leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to do a separate video about Cartoon Network's Halloween, if need be. And my number 1 Halloween programming block is Nickelodeon's Nick or Treat. This was it. This was the big one for me as a kid. Nickelodeon had the best Halloween specials. Doug's Halloween Adventure, Arnold's Halloween, Pete and Pete Halloweeny. A lot of the shows had Halloween in the title. But then there was Rugrats' Candy Bar Creep Show, or Rocco's Sugar Frosted Frights, and not to mention all of the episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark that they would play all month long. All of it was built around a month of spooky bumpers and promos leading up to Nick or Treat, one of the greatest contests ever. They would run ads all month long telling you to send in a postcard and then wait by your phone on Halloween or whatever day they picked later on. And if they called you and you answered the phone, Nick or Treat, you got to be one of the lucky ones to play the actual game show. Here, a series of characters played by Fred Newman, who was the voice of Skeeter on Doug, would guide you through a spooky CGI neighborhood based on which houses you picked. You had to press the number on your phone to ring the doorbell, and behind each door was either an real monster telling you that there was basically nothing, or that you won an awesome prize. Most of the time it was a VHS tape or something, but still, it was awesome. Every year you hoped that you were one of the kids that they called just to get a chance to participate. Unfortunately, I was never one of those kids, but still, the excitement of seeing Halloween-themed episodes sandwiched between a Halloween-themed game show that you could participate in from your home? I mean, it didn't get any better than that. Slowly, they did phase out the actual game show aspect, and so much like Nickelodeon, the channel now, the programming block became a shell of its former self. However, it did prove nostalgically popular enough that they brought it back for Teen Nick's 90s themed late night block called The Splat, later renamed Nick Rewind. To my knowledge, they only brought it back for 1 year in 2015, but just the idea that they would bring it back at all and do something this creative and interactive with the best that 90s Nickelodeon has to offer, I mean, that just makes me want to go watch clips of it on YouTube right now. Or maybe I'll work on another Nickelodeon throwback that I've got planned for very, very soon. So that's my top 5 Halloween programming blocks. Is there one that I missed, or do you have a different list? Please let me know. Comment down below. I want to hear from you. But until then, I'm Ryan Reed. Go watch a movie. And then go watch a movie. And then watch a movie. And then watch a Halloween special. And then watch another movie. You know what? Just go celebrate the holiday. I'll see you soon.